Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
And we are Jalen and Jacoby.
That's so dope how I read
on ESPN Radio.
We do the people what they want.
Most of the time. Jalen Rose, this is a very intriguing evening in the National Basketball Association. I'm going to start with the marquee matchup, the Warriors and the Thunder. Kevin Durant said, quote, "It's never going to be a regular game for me." I like it. Most of the time, the athletes are always trying to downplay everything, and he's just being honest, saying it's never going to be regular playing against this team.
How can it be regular? He got drafted by the Sonics, who later moved to OKC, played almost a decade there, had a tremendous amount of success as an individual as well as a team. One day his name and his number be hanging in the rafters once the relationship continues to foster. But I'm just looking for, can Russell Westbrook, whose second best players are Oladipo and Adams, truly compete against the Golden State Warriors when they're making shots and firing on all cylinders? That's really what it's going to be about. And can Russell be efficient? Sometimes when you get into these games, you go against teams that have a lot of firepower, and the ebbs and flows happen. They're on a 6-2 run. They're on a 12-4 run. And before you know it, he's taking low percentage shots and making low percentage plays. If that does not take place and other guys are able to get involved, we should see an entertaining game, which we're hoping for.
I remember in the last matchup, it just seemed like they were just outmatched. The Thunder were just outmatched in a way that it seemed so obvious that Russell Westbrook had to do everything, and the Warriors had this cohesive team unit from, Ian Clark all the way up to Steph Curry.
But that's what I love about professional sports is there's a chess move to be made. So how can OKC win? The Warriors won't go undefeated. They're not going to win a championship every year. So what can you do as an opponent to take advantage of some of their weaknesses versus your strengths? You got to drive the ball. You can't, even if you're Oladipo and Russell Westbrook, who can be streaky shooters, they have to slash and attack and force fouls and or force penetration, so now you can kick it off for open shooters. Also, two other people. Cantor, he has to pound KD down low, or Draymond Green. He has to be able to score and create situations where he's catching the ball 2 feet in the paint where they have to come and collapse. Adams lobs over the top, going after every rebound, getting offensive rebounds, seeing if he can find a way to be not only a defensive stalwart, but using his height on the offensive end to be a finisher and get some efficient plays.
And his cancer is just so intriguing to me. Like, when he catches the ball on the offensive end, it just goes in the hoop, whether he's 17 feet from the basket or 2 feet from the basket, and he's got an array of different moves. He's just so skilled offensively. And then you watch him on defense, and if you just key on him on defense, it's like he doesn't care that he's not James Harden. Like, he's not that good on offense that he can do that and make it be valuable for the team.
Well, the thing is, he has, on the offensive end, he has good hands, he has good feet, he can turn over both shoulders, as you mentioned, a soft touch and a really good finisher.
Nice face up.
But just the opposite on the defensive end, which is why you can't play he and Adams together, even a lot of times against teams that want to post the ball consistently, say, for example, like a Memphis. You have no chance to play him if Draymond Green, Kevin Durant are spreading the floor, playing 4 and 5 and making shots. So that's why you have to use your strength initially, get points in the paint, get some layups, get some dunks, get some fouls, try to get into the bench play of the 4 and 5 position of the Golden State Warriors if you OKC.
When you watch the Thunder, And the thing about NBA basketball is your weaknesses have not just been exposed, they've been filmed and they've been rewatched thousands and thousands of times. And we're talking about Robertson here. Robertson just gets left wide open. Like, he could check his watch, send a text and a tweet, and then shoot. And when you have someone like that on your team, don't you try to get him going early? Like, don't you try to get the ball in his hands and knock down a couple?
It's a mental manipulation when you have a player that just flat out can't shoot. The ultimate skill in basketball that everybody wishes they can do is shoot the ball.
Yeah.
What do people do when they first walk in the gym? They don't get into a defensive stand and slide from side to side.
No.
They dribble the ball and they shoot the ball.
Yes.
And so for Roberson, when you know a guy just flagrantly can't make jump shots, and you know that, as you hear me say, he's open for a reason.
Yep. When
he starts to make or miss shots, it's glaring for everybody. And since he's not a really good shooter, most of the times, he's going to be missing. And so now the other players on both sides feel the fact you can suppress the floor. You have somebody that you're in their head because he knows that he can't make shots, and that makes it tougher on Russell Westbrook, and it clogs the lanes for him to drive.
Last time these two teams clashed, Russell Westbrook wore a photography vest that he had in Europe.
Control.
It was an unveiled shot
Control.
at Kevin Durant and his photography hobby. What do you think Russell will wear today?
It's hard to determine. I couldn't say I anticipated what he wore before.
It's one of those unpredictable things in sports.
I truly don't know.
I think it's going to be I'm thinking like a mechanic jumpsuit. Like a one-piece jumpsuit, like a mechanic. That's just what I'm feeling.
I think instead of doing that, how about what do somebody dress as if they're going to hop a bandwagon?
David Jacoby. That's most likely it. So Kerr is playing Durant and Curry together more. They had this like sort of staggered structure earlier in the season to make sure that one of them was on the floor at all times. Now he's playing them together more. Why is he doing that?
Because neither one of those guys are going to lead the team in assists. That's Draymond. So there has to be times where he's not on the floor and Klay's not on the floor. You give these guys the chance to get shots off the dribble. While they're really good shooters spot up, you still want those guys to be active and driving the ball, getting shots mid-range because they're really good at it. Steph Curry is one of the best players in the history of the league shooting off the dribble with range. Kevin Durant's a 4-time scoring champion. You don't just want them only doing catch and shoots, but at the same time, you don't want them to exhaust 4 or 5 dribbles every time in the half court to try to get a look.
Another exciting matchup tonight. We have the Young Bucks hosting the not so red hot anymore Rockets, coming off of a loss to the Heat.
The heat is on.
Here's what James Harden had to say about his sort of veteran presence and how he has evolved as a leader on the Rockets.
The heat is
quote, I'm using my voice for more communicating, just opening up to my teammates, and that's allowing them to open up to me. We have conversations. Did James Harden not have conversations with his teammates before?
Well, this is a veil shot at Dwight Howard.
Ooh.
This really what that represents. A player that they never saw eye to eye. And while Dwight Howard has his strengths, one of his offensive weaknesses is he wants to post up every night when he's not going to be effective doing so. And a lot of times he tries to lumber his way to a post move when he's not catching the ball with 2 feet in the paint, which can be frustrating for a perimeter player like James Harden, who led the league in total points the last 2 seasons. Now you open up the floor, you have Ryan Anderson, you have Eric Gordon, you have Trevor Ariza, you have Capella over the top for the lob, Montrezl Harrell. Now all of a sudden, the style of play that your general manager and your organization hopes to institute, you have players that's actually their favorite attribute, knocking down three-point shots.
Now, this third matchup I'm really anticipating this evening is one that's gotten sort of like more contentious. As a contender sort of came out of nowhere to challenge the champion. And the question is this, who's going to be the best-dressed man on the NBA Countdown set? Because Tracy is creeping up on you.
I ain't worried about it. I hold my own regardless. I've been doing this for how long?
I don't know.
You know what? I've made my contribution to society.
What's that? Being named Jalen?
There's so many.
Oh, okay.
So many.
Well, I'm looking forward to see what you contribute to the Fashion Society this evening. We knew Chris Paul was hurt.
Yes.
But we didn't know how hurt, and now we do. He's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with surgery on his left thumb. What does this mean for the Clippers season?
You almost alluded to it. You stumbled into something. I'll take you all the way there. I got a remedy to help the Clippers at the point guard spot.
A remedy?
I do. Chris Paul is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. And I know you're hearing a lot about a potential match that may take place. The Clippers should sign Chris Brown.
They should sign Chris Brown. Chris Brown can play. He's a point guard. He's got great moves. He'll put butts in the seats. Like, people aren't going to show up to watch Luka Mbamute and Austin Rivers run the show. You know, you got no Blake. Chris Brown, that's a great play by you, Jalen Rose. Think outside the box, Clippers.
So if
Steve Ballmer would do it.
But here's the thing. Remember, they're the B team in this town. Mm-hmm. They're the Chargers and the Rams. The only teams that people in Los Angeles care about are which teams?
The Lakers, the Dodgers, Kings. People care about the Kings. People care about the Kings.
They do care about the Kings. So with that being said, without Chris Paul, they go from being a team that hopes to contend, depending on where they matched up in the standings, to volley for an opportunity to play against the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. Without Chris Paul and in the West for 6 to 8 weeks, while they've done a really good job of holding it down during injury.
Without Blake, you can do some other things, but without Chris, it's like, forget it. Ray Felton woke up this morning like, wait, what?
I got to play?
2 months? I got to start with these guys?
How many minutes?
I knew I'd be playing with these guys, but this was the second team.
And so with that being said, for Chris Paul, I feel bad for him in a lot of ways because...
What's up?
There's one thing for athletes when you get injuries to lower extremities, like your knee or your Achilles. When you have hand injuries, usually they happen during plays that you commit millions of times.
Yep.
Like swiping at the ball,
freakish
getting
accidents.
caught up in somebody's jersey. And so those are the type of injuries that have happened to him the last couple of seasons. Not that the Clippers were my favorite by any way, shape, or form, but they did have an opportunity to knock on the door to be a team that can make it to the Western Conference Finals. Now, without him for 6 to 8 weeks, it makes that journey tougher. And if you fall between 5 and 8,
they will.
No home court advantage in the first round,
they will.
You face an opportunity to get bounced.
And that can have a domino effect when you have Blake Griffin and Chris Paul in an offseason in which they just lost, didn't even win a playoff series. It just makes you look outside of the house a little bit more. It makes you open the door for Blake and Chris to take some calls and some meetings, as Kevin Durant did last year. Yep. So one player is getting a lot of discussion about changing teams, but also has a contract with a no-trade clause in it. It's a gentleman by the name of Carmelo Anthony. Here's what he said about his commitment to the Knickerbocker franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm committed. Like I told y'all the other night, I don't have to prove that, to anybody. I don't think I have to prove that to anybody. I don't think I have to keep saying that. I don't think I have to keep talking about that. I know for a fact people know that, people see that. And, right now, my focus is playing ball and playing basketball. And
Jalen, we've talked about this ad nauseum, as you like to say. I have a very simple question. Will Carmelo finish the season in a Knick uniform?
Yes, because the destinations that he would, and follow me here, fans and media, allow the Knicks to trade him to are in Cleveland, where I don't see them giving up Kevin Love, and possibly the Clippers. But I don't know if a deal with Blake Griffin is actually going to be feasible. I've talked about hoping to see that deal get done. It's one of those things like the Podfather says, who says no?
I think the Knicks say no. There's just no deal out there that's going to move him, so it's going to be this weird, tense relationship.
Correct.
As it has been with not just the Knicks and Carmelo, but with the city of New York and Carmelo. Like, the relationship over time has gotten more tense. He's getting booed for missing shots. It's just, we're going to continue to live in this, depressing situation that we have in Madison Square Garden.
So let me tell you a weird thing about sports, and Mike Tomlin alluded to this when he talked about great players end up playing based on their behavior for multiple teams, and he doesn't want that for Antonio Brown. What normally happens, you look at players like a Dwight Howard. Mm-hmm. If he stays in Orlando his entire career, we view his statistics and his productivity a lot different.
Yeah.
If his situation with Stan Van Gundy doesn't happen the way it did. Melo stays in Denver. The exact same thing. That's where they were able to maximize their situations. Darren Williams in Utah. When you decide as a guy that has the opportunity to be a max caliber player to control your destiny, Chris Paul did it. Got traded to the Lakers. That didn't work. Ended up with the Clippers. That did work. He was able to orchestrate that. Those 4 guys I mentioned because outside of Deron Williams, those other 3 guys are going to the same Hall of Fame as LeBron James and Dwayne Wade in this era. The same one as Paul Pierce. The same one is Dirk. And for New York Knickerbocker fans, Melo and Amari didn't team up and win multiple championships, but y'all going to retire his number one day.
Doubtful, Jalen Rose. Doubtful. Only because it's number 7 and no one wants that number. No one wants that number anyway. But I'm
glad I dropped that on you.
I doubt that his number will be hanging in the rafters. I doubt it after he shuts it down for the 2nd season in a row and the Knicks continue to be a playoff-less mess. That is not going to happen. Wait, the no-trade clause, are there other players in the NBA with a no-trade clause?
Yes, and here's what's unique. I just mentioned 2 of those guys' names. They've, however, won championships in the city that they currently play. Mm-hmm. One is LeBron James. The other's Dirk Nowitzki.
2 short contracts that is not even a consideration to trade them. Phil Jackson signed a 5-year no-trade clause to Carmelo, and it's turning out pretty much exactly as we all expected it to. Let's be honest.
Don't fight the feeling, like Too Short would say. Carmelo Anthony's going to the Hall of Fame, Knickerbocker fans. Hate it or love it. And you will be retiring his jersey one day based on his productivity.
I promise you that's not going to happen. Ty Lue was forced to discuss the Draymond Green tackle at half court that we've all discussed a little too much already. And he said, was it a dirty play? I don't know. Was it a statement? I think so. Do you think Draymond was making a statement or just trying to stop LeBron James from dunking?
Here's the statement. That's LeBron James going full speed at half court. And if I don't do something right now, he's going to take off and dunk on everybody.
Yes, let's not put him on SportsCenter.
The play that he tried to do in the NBA Finals that you hoped that he completed when they closed the deal in Game 7, it was going to be something similar to that, except this time they're in the regular season, they were down 30-plus points.
Blake Griffin, Ryan Khalil, and the writer of Blackish are recreating, not remaking, but they're having a new film that is an homage to the film classic White Men Can't Jump. Now, I watched the interview. One thing I loved about this is he said one of the problems of White Men Can't Jump is the basketball scenes weren't that realistic. I don't know what you think isn't realistic about Woody Harrelson catching an alley-oop, but do you agree that the basketball scenes left something to be desired?
That's in most basketball movies because you have to find a balance of those that can actually hoop versus those that can actually act.
Not a lot of intersection in those two circles.
Carry a movie. And so, what do you anticipate Wesley Snipes doing on a basketball court? He's not going to go out there and be Isaiah Thomas. And so, I like this idea. It's one of the perks for playing in a city like New York or Los Angeles when you're Blake Griffin that may frustrate fans, that you get a chance to be in a lot of commercials, get paid top dollar, produce motion pictures like this one, and fans say, man, if we could just get that guy to give us that 2010 and 5 and put us in the Western Conference Finals. But those things aren't mutually exclusive, and I'm glad this project is happening.
Me too. I look forward to anything that even resembles the old White Man Can't Jump, which was an excellent film that was very inspirational to me as a young man. Mike Tyson is back in our lives, Jalen Rose. The circumstances are questionable. He's apparently training Chris Brown to fight Soulja Boy. Not only is he doing that, he's also recording music about it. And, we've listened to a selection of his new single, If You Show Up. And he has now released a video. I don't know how to go on this one, so I need your advice. Is this just I should be happy to have Mike Tyson back in my life? Or is this Mike Tyson's too good for this?
No, this is the best thing that could have happened to this entire situation. Because the morning that it started trending, the videos that were being posted were really hostile and volatile on both sides. Now you see colorful characters that are celebrities. Floyd Mayweather.
50 Cent.
Mike Tyson. 50 Cent. All contributing their opinions to this disagreement. So for Mike Tyson to have a video like this, but in theory it's all women, it's not necessarily him, it's not one of the potential combatants, it's not somebody that's probably from a clique or a crew, so to speak.
It's a low-budget video.
I think that it lightens the mood, and I appreciate disciplined conflict resolution.
Alexander Ovechkin was on social media, and he's posting about his smoothies, all the smoothies that he makes. I make a lot of smoothies at home myself. Smoothies are a big part of my life. I love smoothies. And then in one of the comments, he mentioned that some of his smoothies, he puts in Russian vodka and beer. Are you interested in trying an Alexander Ovechkin smoothie?
I am not.
What?
No. Because to me, when I think smoothie, I think healthy drink. Mm-hmm. And I always joke that it's a great day when you have a green drink. That makes me think and feel more like vegetables, more healthy. Vodka doesn't go with that. Now, if it was fruit, that would be different.
Yeah,
but
like
not
a strawberry
vegetables.
Banana with a little bit of vodka in there.
Correct.
Okay.
Like I mentioned yesterday.
Have you ever had alcohol inside of a milkshake?
No.
It's so good. Like a mint chocolate chip
No.
milkshake with bourbon in it,
No.
Jalen. Oh, I'll
No.
make you one of those next time you come by the house. Ludacris
Luda!
not only performed halftime at the Falcons game,
What up, though, Shaka?
but also went to the White House. Obama is having a lot of people come to the White House. He's really getting the most out of his last days in the White House. And shout to him. Ludacris wore basically a crew neck sweatshirt and a necklace. Didn't exactly dress to the nines to visit the White House. Do you co-sign casual wear at the White House?
I do. There's a misconception that even somebody like President Obama is always suited and booted. Like, there's times where he's off wax, where he probably has on a jogging suit, or he has on basketball gear or something like that. So just because you're going to the White House, to me, that doesn't mean that you should represent by rocking a three-piece suit. I say that building should symbolize all the great things that make us alike, as well as being different. And so if we now want to create a dress code for how you should look in the White House, then you start to put parameters on something that should be open to all of us.
Jerry Seinfeld signed a deal with Netflix. Did you watch Seinfeld?
I didn't.
Do you know who Jerry Seinfeld is?
I do.
Have you ever watched Comedians in Cars? Comedians with Coffee? Yeah, Comedians in Cars.
You don't know the name.
I don't know the name. I don't watch this either.
So no.
I don't watch it either, to be honest with you. Are you excited about Jerry Seinfeld appearing on Netflix?
We'll see.
I'm not.
What?
At all.
I'm excited about Chris Rock.
Are you excited about Dave Chappelle coming back?
No doubt. Let me tell you the two things that get me enthusiastic, knowing that they're going to happen in 2017.
Good. We need some positivity for 2017. What do you got?
Dave Chappelle on Netflix and a return of Power. When is that happening?
When does Power return?
When is that happening? Like, this is affecting my life.
I hope it doesn't happen for a few months because I'm going to catch up on Power. Will you do me one favor if I watch Power? Will you watch Atlanta?
What's that about? Give me the movie plot.
Okay. It's
Give me the show
about
plot.
Atlanta.
No.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. It's about a gentleman named Earl, just growing up, coming of age in Atlanta.
Peace up. A-Town down.
His cousin is a rapper named Paperboy. And there's an invisible car. Is that a good enough sell?
Sure.
Okay. Kawhi Leonard
Kawhi Storm.
has 12 30-point games.
Getting work.
Yet, he doesn't really get mentioned that much
It all depends on who's talking.
in the MVP race. We always hear Westbrook Harden. Isaiah Thomas is getting a little MVP buzz. But we've got the reigning defensive player of the year, who's got more 30-point games than everybody else, on a team that has, the third best record in the league. Why are the Spurs being overlooked?
I don't think that they're being overlooked. It's just that media members love to grab sexy headlines, in particular ones that are truly dominant or really negative. So the way the Golden State Warriors can get going and making multiple threes and throwing behind the back passes is just more of a flashy sell, especially when you call them a super team. Same with LeBron. He and Kyrie between the leg, behind the back. Ferocious dunk over the top. It's LeBron James. It's the best player in the league. So Kawhi, to his benefit, is actually able to fly under the radar. And the work that you're talking about him putting in, it don't fly under the radar for people who follow the game. Like, the Spurs have a terrific record right now. He is playing at an MVP clip. And you just mentioned the players. To me, if there was a race that you can't overlook, Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double. James Harden can get you 40 and 10, the most time since the Big O. And Kawhi Leonard. That has to be where the conversation starts.
One thing that's been spoken about in the MVP race, particularly this year, is there's someone that you didn't mention who we all kind of agree is the best basketball player on the planet, but is not in the MVP conversation. Of course, I'm talking about LeBron James. Does he deserve more consideration? Do you consider him the best basketball player in the NBA?
No, because you have to separate the best player, the best performer, versus the person that when you're watching League Pass on a Wednesday, that's bringing it during the dog days of the season. I don't see James Harden or Russell Westbrook taking any days off. You?
No, I don't either.
Okay. So the regular season clearly means more to their trajectory and to their team than it does a player like LeBron James. So first and foremost, they're required to do more. Second, the numbers that they're putting up are astronomical that you can't overlook. Like Russell Westbrook, triple-double, first person since Big O. James Harden, those type of numbers. So because of that and what you said about Kawhi Leonard and his 30-point games, that has to be the big three on that list.
Power Season 4 returns summer 2017.
Yes.
What is the one storyline that you're most excited about, Mr. Rose?
You know, I was a little disappointed. I was disappointed in Tyreek.
What happened to Tyreek?
Start hanging out with Kanan.
What?
Sipping on lean.
Lean?
Calling the crib from the spot.
Can't call a crib from the spot.
I'm just interested to see how that's going to play out.
You know one thing I'll never do in my life? Never going to sip lean. You can miss me with that. Wait. You getting high off a cough syrup? No, thank you.
Not at all.
I'm good on that.
Not at all.
Jalen Rose.
What up, doe?
Very important discussion topic.
Let's get it.
There's a video circulating,
Okay.
which we have both seen,
Okay.
of a young Russian female.
Okay.
Her name is Evnika. She beats up a tree. Is this 8 or 9-year-old Russian tougher than Jalen Rose?
Yes.
Definitely, right?
No doubt about it. And on Woman Crush Wednesday, we pay homage to her because she's doing something that if I had to do, whether it's for survival or for fun, I wouldn't be doing. I'd be somewhere in the fetal position, screaming about the fact that somebody making me do this. But when you want to be a fighter, and it's clear that we're not sure on what level she's going to probably compete, whether it's mixed martial arts or the sweet science, your knuckles have to be cast iron. And so punching a tree is not something that is totally crazy to somebody that does that for a living.
But let's also be honest. When we watch her punch the tree, we're like, oh, wow, she's got quick hands. She kind of looks like Floyd in there. She's throwing combos. Like it's like a disciplined punching a tree.
Hit the brakes.
She looked like Floyd.
She didn't look like
She looked
Floyd.
like Floyd.
No, she
she looked like Floyd.
No, she didn't.
She looked better than Floyd.
No, she didn't.
Her and Floyd are going to fight in 3 months. Dana White just offered them both $25 million. But we didn't expect her to knock the tree down. She beat the tree up. Like, she didn't just punch the tree. She beat the tree up.
Really impressive.
People, Eastern Europeans have, they just feel tougher to me. Eastern Europeans are just tough. Like Polish dudes, Russian dudes. They're just tough.
Well, you see that play out in how different professional sports are covered because you just gave that distinction, and that is fed in hockey. And that's why I always talk about how those players are applauded for their ability to tussle, to fight. It's welcome in the game. It's a signature piece of the game, and it's celebrated. It's a badge of honor. where it's looked at way different in the NFL and in the NBA.
I have a Tim Duncan retirement update. Tim Duncan has just released his own cereal. What? You can now get a limited edition of Slam Dunkin' Question for you, Jalen. Is this corny?
No.
It's corny, Jalen.
It's for the kids.
It's corny.
Nope.
It's corny.
See, here's the line of distinction. I remember that there was a time where a lot of the jobs that people that were, I guess, 16 and under had are now gone to adults. Like, just unique stuff like pumping gas at the gas station, carrying bags at the store,
working at McDonald's,
cutting grass.
It's adults everywhere.
Snow.
It's a good point.
Correct.
I don't see any teenagers at McDonald's anymore.
Correct. And so, in that premise, what are we talking about?
I love doing this show with you.
I went too far.
I love doing this show with you. I know what we were talking about.
What?
Do you know what we were talking about? Tim Duncan has just released his own cereal. You're the best. I love doing the show with you.
I like to give explanations with clarity, and every now and then you go too far and you can't bring it back.
You're making it very clear that adults work at McDonald's now.
Exactly. So with that being said, the term corny almost like hater gets misused. When you're charged with not only balancing entertaining adults and getting them involved or getting them to support a product or anything else, and you're still trying to get teenagers or younger to do it, there's going to be a balance that older people are going to think is a little bit silly. So I don't think that it's corny for Tim Duncan to have a cereal when it's not really for almost 40-year-olds like you. It's probably for like 11-year-olds.
How many 11-year-olds are like really excited about Tim Duncan's cereal, though?
You could say that about Tim Duncan's game, but it's still a Hall of Famer.
That's what I am saying about Tim Duncan's game. Like, it's just not that exciting. And you know what? Here's the thing, man. If they don't taste good, the kids aren't going to like them. They don't care what's on. I don't care who's on the box. It's just got to have a bunch of sugar in there.
See, you more worried about getting D'Angelo Russell cereal. Plays in L.A., got ice water in his veins.
Joel Embiid cereal, Jalen.
That's a great one.
Nike is taking over.
I like
the design
Nike,
and production.
But wait a minute.
Of the NBA uniforms.
The
and they have this
support, so put some money in it.
There will no longer be sleeved NBA jerseys starting next year.
This clearly is a setup because there isn't a person that's more happy about this than me. You already know how much this affects how I look at the sport, how I feel about the shirts, and how much of an impact they have on my brain when I'm playing basketball.
Jalen Rose is playing some pickup basketball with me and some other people that do not play professional basketball. Jalen Rose literally refused to start playing the game. Held up the game. You know how long it takes to pick teams and get everybody out there and warm up? Held up the proceedings because he had sleeves on. What? It's almost like you would rather play barefoot than with sleeves.
It's almost equal.
Playing a bunch of office dudes.
Let me tell you
can't
something.
Even wear sleeves.
Some of the shoes I had growing up, it was like playing barefoot.
Lady Gaga is going to perform at halftime in the Super Bowl.
Not enthusiastic about that.
Not enthusiastic at all. At all about this decision. Who thought this was a good idea?
But also, I'm not calling her this, but her shtick is weird. And so, again, when you're trying to entertain a younger demo, they're going to be horrified watching her.
There are reports that part of her performance will be from the roof of Energy Stadium. If she performs on the roof, does that get you a little more excited about it?
No. It gets me scared.
Why?
Safety precautions.
I think they'll have that worked out for Lady Gaga. My question is this. When are they going to announce the other performer at halftime of the Super Bowl? I don't know, someone who's a little more urban? Do you think that will happen, Mr. Rose?
That eventually the NFL or the NFL will get to have that type of artist as opposed to a Lady Gaga.
But they always do this. Like, hey, we got Bruno Mars, and he's performing with the Chili Peppers.
Correct.
You know, like they are sort of
Correct.
mixing and matching. So don't you think they're going to do that this year?
Yes, they're going to announce multiple people who aren't on the marquee that are probably rap musicians or R&B crooners to participate to create that balance. I'll say The Weeknd.
I like The Weeknd a lot. So, just a couple months ago, we saw a video of a merciless kangaroo putting a dog in a headlock and then being squared up and punched in the face. Kangaroos, dangerous animals. I haven't been exposed to much kangaroo behavior, being that they only live in Australia, far away from here. Now we have this video of a kangaroo outside of a house, like a intruder scratching at the window to get inside the house. You've seen this video. Do you have more respect for kangaroos after watching these videos?
I'm not about cruelty in any way, shape, or form, but when somebody's banging on the glass, you know, all bets are off. I think the kangaroo need to catch a couple of hot ones for that.
Really, Jalen Rose? It's a kangaroo. It's a wild animal.
You just said the key
kangaroo's
words.
in trouble. Maybe the kangaroo's car broke down outside.
You said key words that I can't chance.
Kangaroo lost its cell phone.
Animal.
Ran out of gas. Just needs some neighborly help. Knock on the door. Jalen Rose, I'm disappointed in you. But that kangaroo was really scary. Kangaroos are scary. I didn't realize how scary kangaroos were for the last month. I'm not messing with kangaroos.
You're an amazing husband, and you have 3 kids. Mm-hmm. You walk to your backsliding door, and there's a kangaroo on its hind legs banging on the glass. What do you do?
Lock the door. Hide behind my children. Jalen, I have an update on the Hall of Fame mogul. Irvin Magic Johnson was spotted meeting with Jeannie Buss and another Lakers executive. Oh, I don't know. Just happens to be Kurt Rambis' wife. It wasn't clear exactly what the nature of the meeting was.
Now, just think about what you just said. Gene and Phil broke off their engagement.
Mm-hmm. Can I say one thing about that? That was very bad news for Knicks fans. Right? That was really... As a die-easy Knicks fan, when I heard that, I was like, oh, man!
He needed to rush to get back to L.A. now.
That was the only hope. The only hope that he was going to return to Los Angeles was that he and Jeannie Buss just really need to spend more time together, and what's important is his family and meditation, and it's so much better on the West Coast.
Just think about that dynamic you just said. That Jeannie was there with Kurt Rambis' wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's on the Knicks staff?
Oh, not just that, Jalen. Who's in charge of defense for the New York Knicks? Jalen's laughing because the New York Knicks do not play defense.
You remember early in the year when they were like, you know what? 2 games in, Kurt Rambis is taking over the defense.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be great. Joakim Noah, great defender.
I don't read too much into them meeting with one of the greatest players in their history that can lend some level of support as well as advice because he's totally connected and has his pulse on what's happening with that team. The true issue is, how do you transform the roster to one that now has a legitimate perennial type all-star on it that can now lead your team into the next phase of hoping to be a playoff team?
They've got a bunch of guys to put around that perennial all-star.
Correct.
But I'm not sure they have that perennial all-star.
Let me give you an example of how this works when you're a lottery team, but you still have optimism. I'm going to name some of them for you that were able to secure said player.
I would love that, Mr. Rose. Please do so.
Minnesota has Karl Anthony Towns.
Yep.
The Pelicans have Anthony Davis.
Yep.
The Kings have Boogie Cousins.
Yep.
The Sixers have Joel Embiid.
And potentially Ben Simmons.
So those teams say,
we got a roadmap to how we get there. There's a roadmap there. Take a left here, make a nice draft pick here, make a nice trade here. We've got a roster that can contend for a championship.
Now, when your other teams that hope to secure that, the Lakers fall into that category because is that player Julius Randle?
No.
Jordan Clarkson?
No.
D'Angelo Russell?
I don't think so. Brandon Ingram? Maybe if he gains 40 pounds.
Larry Nance Jr.?
Oh, no.
So,
Marco Huertas?
Here's one of the things I look at when I'm personally trying to put together a team. There's a level of seriousness that I just want to see my team compete with.
Huh.
And I couldn't watch Nick Young and practicing in games every night. That's just me.
Really?
No.
He's been performing well this year, playing defense this year.
Yes.
So you're saying just that attitude, that happy-go-lucky, fun-spirited humor you wouldn't want around the team.
You know what I want? I want Lou Williams. A guy's going to come in and give me 20 points and go sit down. That's what I want. A guy that can get hot, and before you know it, 5 or so straight games, he can give me 25 plus.
You know one of the most impressive things that
year.
Lou Williams did in his career? Dated 2 women at the same time.
Yes.
That just seems very complicated. Seems very difficult. Whatever works for them.
So the Lakers still have to figure, since that player may not be on their roster, how do they parlay these first-year salary players into a maximum caliber performer?
If their plan is to sign them all to new deals, that plan is not going to work for reasons we just explained. So when Jeannie sits across from Magic and they're having extremely expensive dinner, whatever these sort of people do, and she says, Magic, what should I do with this team?
Get LeBron.
It's easy for him to say, right?
Yeah.
You cannot get LeBron.
He's like, we're the Lakers. Whatever happened to us being able to get the top flight recruits to come and sign or no visit with us? And then they like, hold on, Magic, we got to get out some information, some statistics for you on the team the last few years.
Yeah.
You know, you're like,
remember Kobe Bryant?
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
He hasn't been Kobe Bryant for like 4 years.
So it's opportunities like when a DeMar DeRozan decides to stay in Toronto when he's a California kid. Russell Westbrook, the exact same thing.
Both Los Angeles
Kevin
natives.
Love, the exact same thing.
UCLA.
Now all of a sudden, the people that you talk about on paper, Paul George, that made James Harden, Trevor Ariza, that have California ties that choose not to come back and play in California. Who?
Aaron Aflalo. Reggie's yelling from the other room.
I got to tell Reggie that Aaron Aflalo has not been an all-star. I was going at players that were on that level.
Okay. Now you're arguing with Reggie on the other side of the door.
He's the All-American. Reg, that was in college.
Yes, it was a long time ago.
So you want to talk about some UCLA All-Americans that the Lakers should go after?
I don't want to talk about that. I do want to do this, though. There's a report that
I love this show.
Pelicans and the Hawks
The Pelican fly!
were discussing a deal that would bring Dwight Howard to New Orleans.
See, this is one of those things.
This was reported by Zach Lowe.
Gilo.
So it's legit. Don't go after my man Zach Lowe. His information is legit.
So this is one of those things, and I named you a few players in today's landscape that, based on their performance and endurance, longevity, are going into the same Hall of Fame as
You
Dirk,
have mentioned this before.
Dirk, Paul, LeBron, and Wade. What? This is one of those things where Dwight Howard is like, I see why Melo got the no trade clause. Because when he signed with Atlanta, the last thing he thought is they'd think about trading him the first year.
They're rebuilding. They were going to contend for a championship. They're going to be number 2 in the East
and
when he
you
signed.
know where he's from?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow. If they're considering trading you so fast, that does not bode well. But let me tell you what else doesn't. And I pay attention. I didn't like when Kyle Lowry did it last night. Had the remote control in my hand the other day. And DeMar DeRozan be balling. That's one of my favorite scorers in the game. All down
Is he one of Jalen's All-Stars?
Yes, indeed. I gave him the nudge over Isaiah Thomas. He and Kyrie were my backcourt. But with that being said, Dwight Howard missing games due to rest? What? Seriously? So yeah, they considering trading him.
Minnesota's considering trading Ricky Rubio.
Hey, you got the hand claps over there? Don't say nothing negative. Nope, no negative. I got to get some hand claps. You
I
got
don't
any,
have it. Oh,
you got
want-
any applause over there?
Yeah.
Give me some applause. You know who that's for? That's for Ricky Rubio. Because let me teach all of you guys what it's like to be a vet. Not the Hall of Famers that I talked about early, not the superstars, not the perennial all-stars.
Veteran player.
Let me talk about everybody else that's trying to find a way to be one of the 4,000 people to play in the NBA game, and even the far least amount of players that get a chance to play a decade in this league. You have to be able to have some intestinal fortitude because they're drafting over you every year. They're thinking about trading you every day. You have 25% of the players that are in the league right now in a uniform. Guess what? They will not be next year. And I wanted to give a round of applause to Ricky Rubio, because he's like, oh, y'all gonna draft Chris Dunn? Oh, that's how this going down in the top 10? Oh. So I got people like on this very program, I was the one said it into a hot microphone that they should consider trading Ricky Rubio. And you know what he been doing? Balling. Mm-hmm. Getting his assists, getting his steals, looking like the person that they should actually consider keeping around. So now all of a sudden, you draw this interest in Ricky Rubio, and the Kings like, we can use him, take some pressure off of Boogie, be another ball handler. All of a sudden, getting him better shots for our best player. I love Zach LaVine. But now Ricky Rubio's like, I got some staying power. I'm a vet. I ain't letting the young player take my spot. And I respect how he's been balling.
I respect that as well. However, you didn't mention anything about his jump shooting.
I didn't. But it's the same thing with this show. It's like, you know, initially I was like, you know what? When I saw Ben Lyons at Family Feud, I was like, he's the guy. You know, Michael Rappaport, yes. He's the guy. The person that's going to finally take Jacoby's spot. And then you elevate it, like Ricky Rubio. And all of a sudden, you're putting your hands up in the air like Larry Bird. You're a champion at Family Feud. You're an amazing dad. You're a terrific host. And you're irreplaceable.
I'm replaceable. Antonio Brown went on wax and addressed Streamgate. Let's listen.
I absolutely regret with the Facebook Live situation. Total distraction to the organization. Total distraction to my teammates. Obviously, disrespect to my coach. I got the utmost respect to our coach, so I solely regret that. I stand by my statement last night. Just got carried away in the moment. I live with that moment. From last year. Not being able to play in the divisional game, not being able to make the trip with the team. So I was a little bit genuinely excited in that moment.
Now you put the bullseye on your chest. We saw the exact same thing happen with Odell Beckham. Mm-hmm. You can go party at Live on Sunday, be on the yacht on Monday, but now all of a sudden your work week is constituted of your coach and your teammates being constantly asked about something you did that had zero to do with the score of the game. And you know what that's called in a team sport? A distraction.
It's a distraction. As much as people don't say it is, it's a distraction. We've been talking about this video for 3 days now. That's a distraction. And remember the boat party? We talked about that all the way up to pregame when they were on the field with their shirts off. They even put more fuel to that distraction fire.
And what's unique about those two all-pro receivers, they play for franchises that while they've become the face of the franchise in a lot of ways, have quarterbacks in Eli and Big Ben that won 2 Super Bowls without them. Mm-hmm. So there's that dynamic. I was getting this done before you came. And you notice how Ben didn't handle it the way Eli did. Ben came straight out and was disappointed, and he let it be known that not only was he not listening while recording, he didn't even get a chance to appreciate the message Coach Tomlin and I were delivering.
He was around the corner. He was around the corner hiding. If we're having a meeting and I'm giving a big speech after a great show and you're around the corner not even looking at me, that's disrespectful, A. B, he's kind of sneak streaming it. Like, you could tell that he did it around the corner because he knew that if Tomlin made eye contact with him, it was like, what are you doing with your phone right now?
And for 2 family-owned teams that pride themselves usually on trying to have class about how they approach situations personally, on or off wax, the message that Tomlin sent was a strong one.
Strong.
This is why you see great players, i.e. T.O. Moss, who end up in the Hall of Fame also play for multiple teams.
Translation, don't think it can't happen to you, Antonio Brown.
We're not going to handle this situation like we saw happen in New York. So now when you do that, there's a big game this weekend against the New England Patriots on the road. You can play well, but if the team loses, it's on you.
It's on you. And did you hear what Edelman had to say? Just, these little things. And like we talk about distractions, but these things sort of have a way of exponentially getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Edelman was like, that's just how they run their team over there. Just how they run their team over there. Patriots, we don't do that. That's different. You've never seen any stream from our locker room. Now that already puts a line in the sand, saying, that's what they do over there in Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's not what we do here.
And when it's your talented receiver, you, as Mike Tomlin have to sit at the podium and say, we're going to punish him, i.e. fine him, but we're not going to punish us, i.e. bench him.
Yeah.
Because then that costs everybody the opportunity that we've worked so hard for this season.
Yeah. Suspending him never crossed Mike Tomlin's mind. Never, ever, ever crossed his mind. Big Ben said that the Patriots are the gold standard in the NFL and that they are the dragon that the Steelers are trying to slay. How much truth is there to that?
Big Ben says that they are the gold standard and that they are the Steelers. You got that wrong.
No,
they say Big Ben and Steelers. Big Ben says that the Oats are the gold standard.
I'll read off the rundown. All right, you answer the question. Big Ben said that the Patriots are the gold standard in the NFL, and they are the dragon that the Steelers are trying to slay.
Accurate.
It's exactly how I said it last time.
Accurate.
Exactly how I said it last time.
But since I know how to read and the paper says OATS,
since when did you start reading the rundown, Jalen? Since when did you start reading the rundown?
When I not only have 2 eyes available, I have 4.
And you got gigantic, goofy glasses on top of them, too. Is that
do.
what the glasses are for? That's why you've never read the rundown before. Those are prescription, aren't they?
No, they're not.
Those are prescription, aren't they?
I have a couple of things that I'm really proud of that I don't give enough credit to. One is my vision. Excellent vision.
I have great vision, too.
Excellent vision.
I don't understand how people with poor vision got this far.
I'm so
what
fortunate.
were y'all doing before we had houses and glasses? When we had to go out and hunt? Were you just walking around bumping into trees and stuff?
I dropped my contact.
I don't understand how the genes for poor vision got this far along the human species timeline.
Gotta eat a lot of carrots. And I hear lobster is brain food.
It makes you really smart. Lobster makes you really smart. Do you remember what we were talking about?
I do.
Okay.
The Patriots are the gold standard because they had a consistent level of success over the last 15 years that the Steelers want to duplicate. While Big Ben has won a couple of Super Bowls, as I acknowledged, this is an important step to getting there. If they're able to beat the Patriots and somehow the Steelers are able to go on and win it, now all of a sudden you look on paper and says Brady has 4 and Big Ben has 3.
Mm-hmm. One thing I find interesting about this statement is that's Big Ben on wax. And Antonio Brown gave us a little bit of look into how the Steelers really feel off wax when there are supposedly no microphones around. And I don't remember Mike Tomlin referring to the Patriots as dragons. There was another word he used that I can't use on this show. How often will what you say in the locker room when there's no media around be the complete opposite of what you say when there is?
99%.
Yep.
That's why there's a distinct difference between those that have been in the foxhole literally and those that cover it. Because there's 100% difference how players behave on and off wax, whether they're in the locker room or whether they're in the privacy of their own homes. It's just the thing that comes with being a public figure and an athlete.
Pete Carroll had a big meeting with Richard Sherman about his behavior in 2016. If you recall, he went after the defensive coordinator, Chris Richard, on the sideline in October. And remember, he was calling out the offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell, for his throwing from the 1-yard line once again. Do you see this tension between Richard Sherman and the Seahawks franchise continuing?
I think it's one of the things that manifests itself when you don't get your goal accomplished. Here's a team that won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, lost in a Super Bowl. There was a controversial call on first down. There was a controversial call on the goal line, which led to an interception by Russell Wilson. This year you come back, there's no Marshawn Lynch. Earl Thomas is hurt late in the season. You know, the offensive line is in shambles. There were a lot of things. There were a lot of holes in that football team. In particular, Richard Sherman, who was playing with an injury, an MCL injury. So I don't think that this is something that's going to be a divide and conquer. He'll be back with the team. He's still acknowledged as one of the best cornerbacks in the game. And Pete Carroll's one of the best coaches in the league.
I'm kind of rooting for Richard Sherman to fall apart in the National Football League because I really want him here on this show. He would be the perfect addition. We'll make some space for him in the logo. Jalen, Jacoby.
That's very nice.
And Sherman.
That's very nice.
No, but Jalen, Sherman, and Jacoby. I'm always going to go last.
Well,
I get it.
I take blame. He promised to come on the show. I have to do a better job of reaching out. I'll make sure I do such.
Do you know what he would do if he was on the show? He would read the rundown. He would prepare. And he wouldn't be trying to correct me when I'm not even wrong. What you really need to do is call our voicemail line. 985-80-JALEN. You call that voicemail line. You can ask us questions, leave us honest feedback, just give us a shout, just get some things off your mind. Whatever you want to do, leave us a voicemail, and we'll put the voicemails on the show. A lot of time these voicemails lead to some very serious answers. We will today, as we do every Wednesday, celebrate the female gender, the superior gender of the human race. All female callers today. Let's listen to the first one.
Hi, this is Jean from New York. I know Jalen's interested in education. I'm wondering if he is paying attention to the congressional hearings on the Trump pick for the Cabinet Department of Education, Betsy DuBois, and her worries about protecting school children from grizzly bears.
So let me fill you in. There was some discussion about whether or not firearms should be in schools. Okay? And then at one point, it was brought up that in certain districts, you need firearms in schools to protect children from grizzly bears. I don't know all of the policies of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Do you guys have an anti-grizzly bear firearm policy?
We do not, sir.
Okay.
So, thank you for calling, Gene, from New York City. Of course, I pay attention to what's happening in the educational landscape, being the founder of a tuition-free public charter high school that's nonprofit, by the way. I'm familiar with Betsy, as well as her husband, Dick, owners of the Orlando Magic, also fellow Michiganders, who I've met with in the past about charter schools and school choice and what ultimately is better for kids, in my case, from the Detroit metropolitan area, as it relates to urban education and putting them in a situation to not only graduate from high school, but graduate from college. So yes, I pay close attention to those dynamics, and it's something that's really important to me.
Are you more scared of a grizzly bear or a kangaroo?
I'm more scared that people are worried whether the quality school is a public school, a private school, a charter school, a magnet school, a home school, and that the quality of your education is defined by your zip code. That's what I'm worried about.
Okay.
Not a grizzly bear.
Grizzly bears is the correct answer. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hello, I'm Candace. I'm from South Africa, but I'm calling from South Korea. I have one question. Are the Clippers cursed?
Candace from South Africa, calling from South Korea. International Candace. The question is not, are the Clippers for real? It is, are the Clippers cursed?
Yes.
Huh. Didn't expect you to say that.
I know you didn't, and I'm not the person that is superstitious per se, though I will love a scary movie just like someone else. The reason why I say that answer is yes is not based on who's on the team, but how elusive success has been for that franchise for so very long. In particular under Donald Sterling. And we know the terms in which he ultimately was led to sell the team. With that being said, during that sale, his wife also got access to courtside tickets. forever. And you know what else? If they win a championship, she gets a couple of rings, which means he gets one too. What? And I think based on that alone, the Clippers were cursed in the past because he was a bad owner, which we found out was a bad person in a lot of different ways. Really successful man, however. Now for a team that all of a sudden Chris Paul and Blake Griffin get hurt within minutes of one another.
Wait, and who's hurt for the Clippers right now?
Chris Paul and Blake Griffin.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
And I remember that big run they went on when they beat the Spurs and then lost to the Rockets. Was Chris Paul healthy for all of that? No is the correct answer, Mr. Rose. So now we're talking about 3 seasons in a row in which Chris Paul has been injured during critical times. One would say that the Clippers are cursed. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Especially at the 3 spot.
Hey, guys. This is Mackenzie from Des Moines, Iowa. What up, doe? Just a quick thing for you. Jalen, I definitely do not agree with the fact that you don't think Golden State and Cleveland have created a rivalry between the two. That's just my opinion, but I'll keep it short like the voicemail says. And Jacoby, quick question for you. Do you think that Boogie Cousins is ever going to unblock the Podfather from Twitter? Anywho, keep giving us what we want. Love the show. Can't wait to listen to it. Later.
Big shout to Mackenzie.
Represent Iowa.
Also with the big, strong what up, though, at the beginning.
Yes, indeed. Way to represent.
I enjoyed that. Ask me a question and you a question.
One of the toughest losses in college. The late, great Chris Street was tragically killed before we played at Carver Hawkeye Arena. It was an emotional game, and they kicked our butt.
She asked me a question, but she just said that she was disappointed in you. She just expressed her disappointment in you.
Okay.
She's like, hey, Jacoby, this is what I want to know. But with you, it was like, I'm upset that you won't admit that this is actually a rivalry because you're just being old man Jalen. Things were different when I was in the league, or things were different when I was growing up.
You have a computer in front of you. Can you look up the term rivalry?
I don't want
possible?
to.
Okay.
I will.
Basically, in sports, the term rivalry is the equivalent in the streets of the term beef. The two combatants must not like one another, yet they consistently find each other in the other person's way when they're trying to get where they hope to go.
Rivalry. Rivalry. Competition for the same objective or for superiority in the same field. That doesn't really give us much. That means every team is a rival with every other team. Yep. That is a rivalry, and I'm not even going to discuss it with you.
They like each other.
You just turned into old man Jalen. Okay, that is as much of a rivalry as we're going to get. They're
Pistons,
going to be in the finals
Lakers,
3
Bulls.
times in a row. Okay.
Celtics, those were rivalries.
Magic and Larry learned to love each other through their careers. There's great documentaries about it. Here's what she asked me. Is Boogie Cousins ever going to unblock Bill? Now, here's one thing I know about public figures and their Twitter feeds. They read them. Even if they say they don't read them, they read them. And there's been a lot of hashtag unblock Bill tweets sent at Boogie Cousins. He's noticed. I thought maybe after 48 hours to 72 hours he would take action. I thought he would take action quickly.
There's got to be something that happens like in August.
Now it's just getting annoying.
Wax.
You got to annoy him
when it's
to the
like
point where he unblocked Bill.
People aren't forcing me to do it. I'll do it when I feel like it.
Boogie.
DeMarcus.
Mr. Cousins.
Because. Boogie!
Unblock Bill.
Unblock Bill.
He loves you.
He does.
He really does.
He does. When I went to the gym in the summer to watch Boogie work out, and I didn't take Bill, he didn't talk to me for a month.
Let's listen to the next voicemail.
How's it, Jalen and Jacoby? This is Colette in Honolulu. I love the show, and I'm calling because it's not just Woman Crush Wednesday. It's also Wu-Tang Wednesday, and I wanted to give a big shout to the Killer Bees. Go Steelers. I can't wait for the game on Sunday. I'm a diehard fan, not a Die Easy fan, Mr. Jacoby. But anyway, I love your playlists, and what I wanted to know is if you were both making a special playlist for your woman crush, what track would you have to include? Thanks, guys. Aloha.
Oh, I got that. Pony. Genuine. It's not. It's just going to be Pony over and over and over and over again. It's going to be Pony 20 times in the first side. You flip it over, and then it's Pony 20 times in the second side.
Wow, that's a tough one.
Bow, bow, bow. It's not a tough one.
It's a tough answer for me.
Bow, bow.
My song's going to be better than yours. My artist, too.
Bow, bow.
I'm going Luther Vandross.
Jump on it. My Pony. Let's listen to the next voicemail on Women Crush Wednesday.
Hey, it's Women Crush Wednesday, and I'm a lady. Amari Stoudemire tried to holler at me, but I don't like Amari because he's stupid. Anyways, Jalen, 5 times. I want to ask you a question. B.J. Armstrong's my favorite player, and I was wondering if you could tell me a story about B.J. Armstrong from the D. Holla.
What up, Doe?
First of all, I don't even think they gave a name. They said, I'm a lady. And you know what women don't do? We've got a lot of women callers on this show. Not one of them just said, oh, by the way, I'm a woman. You know? So you're reaching a little bit on that one.
I like the caller. I like the content of the call. There are a couple of different places I want to go. Big shout for the love on Fab 5 times.
Five times. You would not be in this room if you guys were not called the Fab Five. I promise you.
I agree with you.
Branding is very important.
I agree with you. The Amari topic is an interesting one.
Not to me. So let's move on.
And it's a personal one for this program. I appreciate the fact that she asked about B.J. Armstrong, my fellow Detroit homeboy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you a story about B.J. Besides,
did you say she asked?
Yes.
Okay.
Besides me being a younger player, going to St. Cecilia, watching so many future collegiate and professional stars at the time playing at the hallowed gym, one of the most unique things is he was a great player, played a long time in the pros, a terrific agent right now. His dad was actually an official.
Really?
Absolutely. A really good official also.
It's a good last name for an official.
For a really long time. And I love his dad and his mom. So I appreciate the fact that she asked me about them because they're also really good friends with my woman crush, Jeannie Rose.
We open up our 1-800 Flowers Twitter feed, take questions from our audience because this is a great question from Ryaz. This is a great question. I love this question. This could be an entire segment.
Don't say that name 5 times in a row.
Okay. How many pages were your NBA contracts? Did you read it all? How big is the average contract page-wise?
First and foremost,
questions.
Let me just tell you guys this. You know when you're getting an update on your phone and you're trying to get online and they ask you to submit your answer, but when you click on it, it's 15 paragraphs. You just click down and hit yes.
Right. Has anyone ever read the terms and conditions of anything that they signed up for?
Correct.
You can put in the middle of terms and conditions, every penny that you earned for the rest of your life is now, you owe to Snapchat. I'd be like, oh, I didn't realize I signed that. My bad.
So that's an equivalent of pulling you guys behind the curtain because in theory, you would think it's the most important document in your life that you would, but ultimately, that's why you're paying agents and attorneys the big bucks because there can be some language that gets you twisted.
Could there be a conversation between an agent and a franchise where they say, we'll put that in the contract, we just won't tell the player?
That's illegal.
Illegal?
Yes.
Huh. Did you read every word of your ESPN contract?
Of course not, just like you did.
I read every word of that thing.
No, you didn't.
Are you crazy? Every single word. I was just looking for the part where it says
you didn't gloss over any word. So let me ask you this.
I promise you, Jalen. I promise you. I'm not lying to you right now.
Where's LL? Where's LL? Now, if you don't tell the truth, I'm not doing this show with you again. I got to ask you a really important question. Since you said you read it all.
I read it all.
Okay. When you got the contract, did you skip to the years and the terms.
Oh,
and how much?
Numbers first, obviously. But that doesn't mean I didn't read the rest of it.
Did you?
Of course.
Okay. So if the answer to that is yes, that means you couldn't have read the entire contract. That means you were clearly willing to gloss over certain frivolous words in your opinion.
I read the entire contract.
When you got it, you went straight to the dollars, the figures, and the years.
And then I read the entire. Of course, that's what you do first.
Didn't you?
Jalen, you act like this is some revelation. Of course, that's what you do. But I read through the entire thing, and I got to that one line that said something like, "And like this person will not exhibit any conduct that's not like upstanding in the community." And I was like, "What do they mean by that?" Who makes that determination? That seems pretty vague. Or they'll be in violation of the contract. That is why I don't jaywalk anymore. Let's listen. First of all, how many pages is the contract? Those are good questions from Reyes.
How many pages is your ESPN contract?
8.
I don't
know. How many times do you have to sign an NBA contract? That's the annoying part. Sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here.
It's the exact same way. It's the exact same thing. It's corporate America.
I'm going to put a clause in your next contract. I know your agent. Be like, if he doesn't bring David Jacoby a sandwich every single day, then he's in violation of this contract. Next question we have is from Shlama.
I'm going to put some days off in my next one.
Does Gordon Hayward deserve to be an All-Star?
So, I love when you ask me these on-wax questions because I get a chance to freestyle, and KRS-One is one of my favorite MCs.
That has nothing to do with Gordon Hayward.
It does. Because that allows me to dictate which players in the Western Conference should actually be on the All-Star team, therefore lending him a spot or keeping him off.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it relates.
And when we do this, we're just before you tweet us, we're going to miss somebody. Like, we're going to forget Steph Curry. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. Okay, so we're going to miss somebody.
I appreciate that backdrop, but no, I'm not.
Okay. He's going to miss somebody.
Is Gordon Hayward, and I'm giving our staff work, and sometimes that can be tricky. Is he listed as a guard or a forward?
Forward.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that. I don't even know if that's true.
See, that's the difference. I'm not going to just
Gordon
work
Hayward
things
is a 3.
out.
He's a 3. He's a forward. He can't be listed as a shooting guard.
Okay, if he's listed as a 3, yes. The 3s should be KD, Kawhi, and Gordon. This is the year that Gordon makes the All-Star team.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head in the Western Conference.
Remember, and you got some more bigs. So it's Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, and Boogie.
Of course.
That sounds like the guys up front off the top, and LaMarcus Aldridge falls into that mix. I think that's 7 players. Or DeAndre Jordan.
Do you know what Gordon Hayward has been, though? He's been a Jalen Rose All-Star for like 3 years. Like, he is an All-Star as far as you're concerned.
No doubt.
Who else on this? Avery Bradley, Gordon Hayward.
I got a couple. Zach LaVine.
KCP's on there.
Yes, indeed.
And Zach LaVine.
Because when you watch so much basketball, you understand that the superstars, and rightfully so, get the headlines, but the story a lot of times is the players that the ones like you just mentioned. Like Corey Joseph filling in, scoring 30+.
His first start of his career.
Yes, indeed.
Career high. Next question. It's from Dave Daniels. It's from me.
Will Barton in Denver.
Has Jacoby had special
Jokic.
treatment for being, quote, David Jacoby of ESPN somewhere? One thing about me, if I'm not at work, I'm pretty much at home. I'm not champagning and campaigning like I used to. I'm not out and about, okay? You know, I'm either at work or at home because that's what I'm responsible to do every day, and that's enough of a day. However, every weekend, we drive out to the Deep Valley, and we take my grandmother-in-law out to a nice franchise restaurant.
That's awesome.
When we went to P.F. Chang's, they took care of me. My man at P.F. Chang's like, I've been listening to the pod forever. They gave me the table with the circle in the middle with the lazy Susan you can spin around. Let me get some of that hot and sour soup. I'll spin it over to you. P.F. Chang's. Big shout to P.F. Chang's.
You think you got more fans from this show or from Family Feud?
This show. Next question that we have is from For Your Eyes Only once again. Jalen, would you rather have 4 national championships or 1 NBA championship ring? Say it. Just say it.
One NBA ring.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's exactly what I was thinking. I'm so glad you said that, Mr. Rose. Finally, one last question from me, from J. Max Carr. Would Jacoby name his next child or pet Kirkland? Obviously, this question is coming up because of my dedication and support of Costco and the Kirkland brand.
Big shout to Pee Wee Kirkland. That's my favorite.
Oh, big shout to Pee Wee Kirkland.
Legend.
Also had a role in Above the Rim.
He did.
Yep. Legend in 2 games. Pee Wee Kirkland.
Yes, indeed.
The answer to that question is no. I would not name my child Kirkland. And I would name my child Jalen.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. You're right.
You're going to do it now.
If I name my kid Jalen, that means I got like 15. You know what I mean?
Running out of names.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.
We'll be back tomorrow.